Imagine a time when Greece was a burgeoning set of city-states, known as a polis, 4th century BC, and a man named Hegestratos begins to make a name for himself. Picture the bustling markets, the famous Temple of Apollo at Delphi, the theatre of Epidaurus. The philosophies of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle were influencing Greek society. Democratic government had undergone significant development and several phases of refinement by the time Hegestratos appeared on the scene. Amidst this vibrant backdrop, our protagonist, or rather antagonist, Hegestratos, was carving out his own niche. Hegestratos wasn't your typical Greek citizen. He wasn't a soldier, a magistrate, nor an official, and not a scholar or intellectual. No, he was a man with a different skill set, a skill set that was as cunning as it was criminal. You see, Hegestratos was a mastermind of manipulation and deceit, a pioneer in a field that would become all too familiar in later centuries: insurance fraud. He was a man who saw opportunity where others saw risk, and in the thriving commercial hub of Greece, he concocted a plan so audacious it would be talked about for centuries to come. But Hegestratos was no ordinary Greek citizen. He was a man with a cunning plan. In the heart of the Greek polis, Hegestratos concocted a scheme of remarkable audacity. Hegestratos, a man with an idea so daring, it would shock the Greek people. Greek people of the time valued honor, integrity, and respect for law and participation in democratic processes. He was a shipowner, a common profession at the time, but he was far from ordinary. He had a plan so bold it could be considered the first recorded insurance scam in history. You see, the Greeks had a type of insurance known as bottomry. It was a loan taken out by shipowners, which they didn't have to pay back if the ship sank. If the ship traveled to its destination safely, the loan was repaid plus an additional commission, a clever system designed to protect those taking on the high-risk task of seafaring. But for Hegestratos, it was an opportunity. He took out a large loan using his cargo-filled ship as collateral. His plan? To fill the ship with sand rather than valuables, sink the ship, lose a worthless cargo, and walk away without repaying a single drachma. A risky move, no doubt, but Hegestratos was a man willing to gamble. So how did he set his plan in motion? Well, he loaded his ship with valuable cargo, or so he made it seem. The truth was, he filled it with the worthless sand and other low-valuable items to cover, making it appear as though it was laden with riches. Then he set sail, heading towards inevitable disaster. Why was this such a big deal? Consider the time. This was the time that Greece had evolved great ideas, a time of honor, integrity, and respect for the law. Hegestratos' plan was not just audacious, it was scandalous. It was a clear violation of the trust that the Greek society placed in the system of bottomry. But the real twist was its scale. This wasn't a small-time scam. The loan was sizable, the ship was large, the act was grand. Hegestratos was playing for high stakes, ready to risk it all in his pursuit of ill-gotten gains. However, as with all grand schemes, things didn't go exactly as Hegestratos had planned. Hegestratos' plot began to unravel when he attempted to execute his plan. With the ship sailing smoothly on the serene Mediterranean waters from the Aegean Sea to the Ionian Sea, Hegestratos began to put his devious scheme into motion. His plan? To sink the ship and claim the insurance money. However, executing such a plot in the dead of night without arousing suspicion was easier said than done. Shortly after leaving shore under the cloak of darkness, Hegestratos and his accomplices began to bore holes into the hull of the ship. The rhythmic chipping of wood against metal echoed through the still night air. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to him, the ship's passengers and crew had begun to stir. The unusual sounds at such an ungodly hour sparked curiosity and suspicion. Soon they discovered Hegestratos and his men, tools in hand, caught in the act of sabotage. Chaos ensued as the crew and passengers confronted the perpetrators. Accusations flew and a brawl broke out. The peaceful voyage had transformed into a scene of pandemonium. In the midst of the commotion, Hegestratos' plan was laid bare. The crew and passengers, now aware of the imminent danger, rallied together to prevent the ship from sinking. However, things didn't go as planned for Hegestratos. His scheme had not only been exposed, but was also failing spectacularly. The crew, showing immense courage and quick thinking, managed to plug the holes and keep the ship afloat. The ship, much like the dreams and aspirations of its passengers, refused to sink. Cornered, and with his grand scheme foiled, Hegestratos found himself in a predicament. His plot was in shambles. Instead of he and his accomplices quietly floating away on a lifeboat leaving the crew to drown, he was now facing the wrath of the now furious crew and terrified passengers. With no way out, he was forced to make a desperate decision. Caught in his own web of deceit, Hegestratos was forced to make a desperate decision. Hegestratos found himself cornered. He struggled from the clutches of the crew and began to run. The crew, shocked and betrayed, gave chase. Fearful of his crew's wrath, he made a desperate leap overboard. The cold, dark waters of the sea were his only escape from the justice of his crew. It was a desperate act, a last-ditch attempt to evade the consequences of his actions. But the sea is a harsh and unforgiving mistress. Hegestratos, weary from the fight and the burden of his crimes, or perhaps a shark intervened, but soon he sunk like a stone, never to be seen again. The sea claimed his life just as he had planned to claim the ship and its precious cargo. The ship and its worthless cargo of sand eventually made it back to shore and safety. The crew revealed the whole sordid tale to the maritime insurers, and the truth about Hegestratos' grand scam was finally exposed. Hegestratos' downfall was as dramatic as his scam. The sea, which was meant to be his accomplice, became his judge, jury, and executioner. His name became a byword for treachery and deception, a cautionary tale for those who would dare to cheat the system. Hegestratos' story serves as a cautionary tale, echoing through the ages. This audacious man, who dared to swindle the Greek insurers, left behind a legacy both intriguing and alarming. His narrative has been preserved over centuries, a testament to the timeless fascination with human ambition and the lengths one might go to satisfy it. And so the tale of Hegestratos, the notorious Greek scammer, remains etched in the annals of history as a stark reminder of the perils of greed and deceit. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to be alerted for upcoming topics.